Today with us, and it is my pleasure to introduce Donald to you today. Donald and I have worked together in presenting the topics of enterprise transformation and RPA in national and global events for Proqis and many other organizations with outstanding results. He is widely known for delivering industry record-setting improvement for global Fortune 50 companies like JP Morgan, AIG, BNY Mellon, and Mednex, using advanced artificial intelligence, robotics process automations, and many other intelligent automation strategies. Donald, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today, sharing your expertise. Very much looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much. It's great to work with you again, Jose, and I'm looking forward to presenting this topic because I think we have a lot of opportunity to apply artificial intelligence in this post-coronavirus environment. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be with you. I am Donald Cook. I look relatively familiar to this. Let me just see. For reasons beyond my understanding, my screen is frozen. There we go. I look vaguely familiar to this gentleman. That gentleman wasn't up until 4 o'clock in the morning working on the presentation the day that that photograph was shot. So this gentleman, although we are very much the same and we look a lot alike, is much more exhausted. But Jose asked us to be passionate about this topic and to share what we have learned in a way that invigorates other companies and other individuals to be willing to make the change, to be willing to consider what it's going to take to automate and see success stories so that they can feel comfortable with making the transformation and leading that transformation. So I'm going to be talking about a whole new world courtesy of coronavirus. Coronavirus did many things to and for us, many of which were positive, productive, and some of which were not. In retrospect, in my own family, it was very difficult. We buried two well-decorated, highly decorated Marine Service heroes in my family, one of whom was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery recently. And it brings home the fact that coronavirus is forever changing the lives of the people in this country, and we've had to change all of our protocols as a result. This moment of opportunity gives us a chance to reset who we are, who we want to become, and how we want to see the world and how we want to use the technology that we apply. Then let us dream together about what this world can be, and let's commit to creating a more passionate and loving world. I resolve to make the workplace a much safer environment through the use of artificial intelligence and hands-free business process management. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's a very powerful technique, and it's in common use now because we developed and deployed it to success. And we'll talk about simultaneous process automation technology and virtualization change-out. Many of you have used a serial method of process and technology change in the past, where we made a process change and optimized the process, which broke the technology. Then we re-engineered the technology and broke the process. And like the double helix of DNA, where the acid base pairs don't ever really touch, they spiral around one another, but they're not the same. We now want them to be simultaneous. We want to engineer the process and the technology simultaneously and apply all new techniques to automating our processes in our business. We're going to talk about robotic process automation, intelligent document processing. These are language agnostic processes, content agnostic, orientation agnostic processes that have demonstrated enormous value in the world of central banking, global central banking. We'll talk about speech synthesis and how it is applied in very demanding settings like surgery and like processing human tissue for human reuse and surgical transplant. We'll talk about machine vision in the same setting, radio frequency business process management, the ability to track everything that moves in the production process with an 18-cent tag. coincidentally, the 18-cent tags that we applied have enough information that we could write the Constitution on the tag. They're rewritable, so we can update the information as this process continues, all the way out to end of life and point of consumption with automatic replenishment to the field. Very powerful technology. They survive refrigeration down to about 250 degrees below zero, and they tolerate 1 million electron volts of energy in electron beam sterilization. So it's a very robust tag with very powerful technology. We'll talk about intelligent integrated architectures where we integrate process technology, data, APIs, and regulatory controls. And we'll talk about behavioral analysis that results when we do deep data mining on the technology and the information that we acquire. This is just my view of intelligent automation. It's my intelligent automation quadrants, and I use it to describe all of the different elements of intelligent automation that I have applied in the companies that I have worked for have applied to success. One, of course, being robotic process automation as a general category, and a subset of that being intelligent document processing, the ability to have bots and digital workers read things like global financial transactions, read medical histories, looking for specific acronyms or causes of diseases and diagnoses, and able to make requests for additional supporting documents and information, and managing processes that were laborious and imprecise for human beings. Human beings reading 1,000 pages of an individual patient history are imprecise. The likelihood that the human being is not going to make any errors is small, but if we use the computer to identify those issues, those diagnoses that are of concern, then we can update the content with bold lettering, identify on which page the content occurs, and have the doctor reviewed the highlighted record. Next, we talk about machine learning, the ability to have the computer get smarter over time. I'll talk about an application where we use IBM Watson every day to process radiographic images. These are MRIs, CAT scans, digital x-rays. We'll talk about that in some detail and what the implications of that are for the virtual practice of medicine. We'll talk about artificial intelligence-based, I'm just moving some content here. Artificial intelligence-based speech synthesis, the ability to have a computer capture the text that's produced when operators speak, so that operators don't have to touch the process. And in the case of sterile processing human skin in surgery, we don't want anyone touching anything, so to the degree that we can capture the information and do the information retrieval automatically and use a computer to do it is highly preferred.
Donald, I'm not sure what happened, but your camera says that it's paused. So maybe there was a pause there on the camera.
I think I have a bandwidth issue because my computer is also frozen. I'm not able to index my slides. The automation in the slides is frozen.
Understood. So one suggestion we would have is that go ahead and toggle your camera off on the system, because that will allow you to still present and doesn't consume as much bandwidth. So go ahead and carry on without the video portion.
I did that, and my screen unfortunately is still frozen, so I'm not sure how to recover from that. Let me just see. No, my screen is frozen.
Yeah, interesting enough, I can see your cursor moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm moving my cursor and I'm trying to index the screen, and it doesn't index. I apologize. I don't know how to, other than to escape and relaunch the content. Let me try that.
Go ahead and do that and escape and relaunch.
Yeah.
You would click the button
Wow,
that
my
says stop
computer.
showing screen if that's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
I have your camera back on.
Let me turn the camera back off.
Yeah, that would be good.
And now, as I try to escape, the screen is still frozen. I apologize. I think I'm going to have to turn my computer on and off. I really apologize. I don't understand why the screen is frozen. I've used this slide 1,000 times and it doesn't do this, so I don't know what happened today. I'm so sorry.
Some of these things happen, so here's my suggestion. Go ahead and log off and escape and reset your system as needed. I will keep the session going for our audience.
Great.
And I'll wait for you to show back up after you restart your system, okay?
That'll
and then
be great.
I suggest that we then either don't have the Q&A or we have an abbreviated version of your presentation at that point. We'll see how it works, but go ahead and restart, and I'll be watching for you to connect you back on, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Cook had some what seems like either a computer issue or a bandwidth issue with his transmission. So we will be we'll keep the session open and hoping that he's able to restart his system, come back on and complete his presentation. We'll keep you plugged on that. So for the time being, I ask you to just hold on and take a pause until he's able to come back on the system, and I should be able to see him coming in back soon, and then I'll allow him to take control of the presentation and share the presentation with you. For those of you who are outside of the United States and may not be aware of it, there is a very significant storm system happening in the United States. I happen to be in Texas, which is the southern portion of the United States, and even here where we normally have very mild weather this time of the year, we're experiencing historical low temperatures with a lot of snow precipitation, freezing rain, and it's creating quite a bit of a disruption in here in the southern portion of the United States, and in the Northeast, which is where Donald is broadcasting today. They are historically much colder, and of course, they're getting hit by the same weather system. So that is affecting a number of issues related to infrastructure. And so we hope that he can reset his system, and if it's not a bandwidth related issue, he should be able to be broadcasting back again soon. Let me take a look here to see if he's coming back into the system. Not yet. He's still on broadcast mode. So let's talk about some of the other things that are happening today and a little bit about tomorrow. So while we wait for Don to come back. So after Don's presentation, our schedule today calls for a presentation directly from Germany. Imagine, I would never think that I would let's look for better weather, so let's go to Germany next because we're gonna have better weather in Germany. But that's where the next presentation is gonna be coming from, and we're gonna be talking about automation at Bosch. We're gonna have the leader for artificial intelligence at Bosch talking to us about artificial intelligence from a very practical standpoint. This is really about a practitioner's view of implementing artificial intelligence and the applications in their business for automation. So if you look at the presentation from Bosch, the descriptions that the question is not if you automate, the question is when, how, and how fast you automate. And specifically, we're going to be looking at Bosch service solutions and how they apply automation in the various fields that in the company, from back office to front office, and from scaling automation to AI with a customer-centric approach. They were going to describe the journey of automation at Bosch service solutions and who they are and why the automation matters to them, what their automation journey looks like, and how the Bosch Service Center is really implementing this omni-channel approach with automation. And Patrick Spreitzer is the global operations leader for quality and business solutions at Bosch, and he's gonna be discussing their journey at Bosch with us. After we complete our session here with Donald, I'm still hoping that Donald is able to come back and finalize the session with us. So tomorrow we have an incredible lineup of speakers as well. You can look up the agenda online, but I can give you a preview of what's going on tomorrow. We're going to kick off in the morning with the very first presentation. Tomorrow in the morning will be Riaz Athar, from former Vice President of Transformation, Integration, Project Management, and Continuous Improvement with Caesars Entertainment. Riaz is a tremendous speaker, a veteran of in terms of leadership of business transformation and digital transformation. He's going to talk about why RPA and examples of successful RPA implementations that have saved his company millions of dollars. So how do you implement RPA? And Caesars Entertainment, for those of you who don't know, is a major organization, you know, that manages casinos and hotels, large operations, of course, in Las Vegas. And the implementation of RPA in that setting is quite interesting. After that, we're going to have two great speakers on machine learning from Summit to See, and how they are pushing RPA to the next level with artificial intelligence and machine learning combined. Following that presentation tomorrow, we're going to have hyper automation powered by process excellence. What are the best practices that we see out there in the marketplace? And this is going to be presented by Vinay Mumigati, who is the Chief Automation Officer and Data Science Executive and Digital Transformation Leader for LexisNexis. And tomorrow we wrap up the day with a presentation with the Director of Global Digital Industrial Operations from Electrolux. And Hao Din is going to talk to us about robotics process automation and how it is the change management tool for Industry 4.0. So that's the schedule for tomorrow. For those of you who may not be as familiar with our space, and this agenda can be seen live on www.rpalive.online/agenda. So rpalive.online/agenda. We can, if you pay attention on the chat, there have been chats that have been sent to everybody here with that link. Let me do a quick check here on Donald Cook. I still do not have Donald Cook online, so I am going to check the chat here to make sure that I do not have any other information for you. Nothing new from him right now at this point. And I'm looking at your questions. I'd love to hear some unexpected lessons learned from Mr. Pires, things he found during his project that nobody could foresee. Who's asking this? Misha is asking this. Good question, Misha. Why don't we engage in that as we wait for Don, if Don is able to come back? So let's talk about this live, about in the spirit of robotics process automation and intelligent automation, but also in the spirit of transformation. There is no digital transformation in business that is effective without a real business transformation. And there is no business transformation that's effective without affecting components of your culture. So I never talk about digital transformation in isolation. I think it's very important that we understand that there is no digital transformation without that is grounded on the realities of your business. So the research has been done. Most digital transformations will fail because there is not a business process understanding over which those digital transformations are being built. So for digital transformation to work, you need to understand your business processes. You need to have a business transformation that's happening along that. And there's no business transformation that's effective without touching aspects of your culture, because culture eats strategy for breakfast. We all have heard that. And whatever initiative that you have going on is just a side dish to the joys of culture. So you have to have a comprehensive approach of digital, business, and cultural transformation. Now, you also have to be practical about it, and you can't try to solve world hunger, in one big cultural change. You have to find applications where you can create the most value in the shortest time and simplest means, and then build on top of that your business transformation and cultural transformation platform and journey. Now, I see that Donald Cook is maybe coming back here. I see that his light is coming back on my system. And I'll say one last thing before I hand it over back to Donald Cook, and that you have to think about the intelligent blending of ideas, methods, technologies, and people. And here's one hint: none of them independently will do it. It's about you do the intelligent blending of ideas, methods, technologies, and people in your organization. So we'll have further discussions on a future presentation on this, but let me send it back to Donald Cook, who seems to be back online here. Donald, if you're able to hear us, can you tell me? I'm gonna make you the presenter now again. Let me know how things are on your end.
Thank you.
So I'm making you the presenter. You may choose not to turn on your video in case you're experiencing bandwidth issues, and just do the presentation without the video at this point. We have 11 minutes here, plus 10 minutes of Q&A, so you actually can go about 20 minutes if you need to on your presentation, or shorten it. I'll let you decide what's the best approach there.
Excellent. Can you see my screen now?
I can see your screen. It's not on presentation mode yet, but I can see the screen. Now it's on presentation mode and looks good to go.
Great. Thank you so much, Jose. Thank everyone for your kind attention and patience. Boy, this is a real interesting outcome. Over the last 24 hours, Microsoft updated my software, and nothing is quite working the same since that happened. So I may have to go in and adjust some of my settings. But this is a slide that I use just to describe the quadrants and the major elements of intelligent automation, to include, as we discussed, machine learning, speech synthesis, machine vision for inspection, and high precision automation. We use 3-camera guided surgery using a Da Vinci surgical machine with 3 cameras that provide intersecting data on remote surgery. Business process and customer behavioral data mining, text analysis, business process management, and most recently, the integration of radio frequency business process management, the use of radio frequency identification tags to locate patients as they proceed through treatment, to ensure patient spacing, to capture when people clean their hands and how frequently they clean their hands. We have smart alcohol dispensers and cleaning stations, hand cleaning stations that record who cleans their hands and how frequently, patients upon incoming, receiving at the hospital, and all of the healthcare professionals on a frequent basis through the day. Gosh, I apologize. I'm right back where we started. I thought by moving ahead of the automation to just having a single slide and being able to index that single slide, I'd be able to proceed. But I'm frozen yet again. I apologize, Jose. I don't know how to recover from this. I literally turned my computer off, relaunched the computer, relaunched my presentation, and I'm back to where we started. Golly, let me see.
So Don, very well. My suggestion is let's just have a talk. Let's have a conversation about the topic, because it seems like there's something going on with the PowerPoint interaction. I'm not, if you go ahead and you stop showing your screen, let me ask, let's do that first. Stop showing your screen.
Perfect.
Perfect. Now, just for trial, see if you're able to bring your camera back. Try to toggle the camera on the interface for the GoToWebinar. It's worth a shot.
There we go. That actually works.
Well, I'm not seeing you, so I'm seeing a blank slate in the behind you. So you may not have the right camera. You may have a problem with your camera now as well.
Wow.
Oh, now you're back on. Stay there. Stay there. Perfect.
We'll take it.
You know what? Let's take here. So the good thing about talking with experts is that you don't need a presentation to talk about this topic. So let's just have a conversation about it. We have another 17 minutes here. So just tell me a little bit about this journey that you're on with us here, and in your experience, and let's have a discussion. And I'm going to ask the audience to pose questions as we go along, and then we'll capture those questions and pass it right back to you. So tell me a little bit of where you stopped there, and this, if you can keep building on that.
Of course. Thank you so much, Jose. My intent today was to share recent successes and well-documented successes about enterprise automation. As all of you may know by looking at my LinkedIn profile, I was the enterprise architect for BNY Mellon Bank, the central bank to the world's central banks. BNY Mellon processes $2 trillion with a T, $2 trillion a day in 160,000 transactions between 172 trading nations and 140 currencies. And so we needed to design a system that was language agnostic, content agnostic, currency agnostic, and even orientation with content on the page agnostic, so that no matter what people were asking for in terms of their financial transactions, BNY Mellon could capture the request, record with precision the time of the transaction, because BNY Mellon is the bank of transaction and the bank of record for the transaction, and then automate the transaction so that we could execute correctly. In the beginning, we designed about 20 bots and prototyped them in parallel with the mainstream production process with great success. We got about 93% coverage, about 7% of the requests could not be automated. We designed a second digital worker to gap analyze what didn't work in the process and design a third generation bot, a third generation digital worker, in order to capture 100% of the daily transactions. And of course, as everyone may know, it's a well-documented success, won multiple global engineering awards for engineering achievement and excellence in execution. It's a zero defect process that runs 24/7 and processes, if you can imagine this number, $23+ million a second, every second, 24 hours a day. It's staggering. It's impossible to imagine human beings processing that kind of business volume. And it's not a coincidence that in November of last year, I was asked to present the same topic to the senior executive management at the European Central Bank in Frankfurt. So this is becoming a very important topic for global banks, and do not be surprised if we see that level of automation coming to the European Central Bank in the immediate future.
And Donald, if I may, just in the previous session, and I hope that person's still here with us right now, we have over 2,000 registrations, so there are people all over the world. And a previous question that came up was, do we have, it was in the very first presentation of the day, there was a bit of a technical presentation from on how you how you take RPA from one platform to the other. And one of the questions that was posed was more practical in the area of finance, wealth management, specifically banking. What kind of applications do we have for RPA? And the speaker couldn't really talk very much about that. It's not his area of expertise. He's more operationally minded in non-financial markets. And you're basically providing tremendous insight. I mentioned to them at that point that Donald Cook's going to talk to us, and he's going to talk about implementation of RPA in financial systems. So Donald, go a little bit deeper on this. I mean, how long is financial systems been implementing RPA? What is the current state of development of these systems, and how widespread are these applications?
Everyone that's in financial services, and this includes insurance, the insurance industry, Banking, retail banking, JP Morgan Chase, an excellent example. BNY Mellon, central bank to the world central banks, the European banks. All of the financial institutions are moving quickly into robotic process automation because it's both more precise and more real time. As you know, the global currency valuation fluctuates by the second. And so to the degree that we know exactly when the request was made for the transaction, we get much more precise valuation on the currencies that are being traded. And those fractions of a second when you're transacting billions of dollars represents a huge amount of money. And we are able to use encryption in order to manage the security for the transaction. So it's become a really wonderful application for artificial intelligence and automation. Financial services, the whole back end of the process. I'll give you another interesting example. At Mednax, the largest pediatric medical practice in North America, Mednax has about 13,000 physicians and clinicians in 50 states and Puerto Rico. Wonderful practice of neonatology, pediatrics, pediatric cardiology, anesthesiology, radiology, virtual radiology. It's a great practice of medicine. We virtualize the practice of radiology using artificial intelligence. So when one gets an X-ray, I'll give you an example. An older woman falls in Miami, Florida, suffers what appears to be a collarbone fracture. She presents with an over-rotated right shoulder. The emergency room physician, the attending physician says, I think we broke a collarbone, but let's check. Shoots an X-ray. The image is sent to IBM Watson. IBM Watson reads the image and looks for all known anomalies, not just the broken clavicle, but everything else in the image that looks to be anomalous. And it identifies that this woman has an enlarged thyroid for which she was asymptomatic. She didn't present with a thyroid issue and didn't know that she had one. But IBM Watson sends a copy of the image to the best thyroid radiologist that we have in country, right? Nationally, all over the country, and sends the degenerative fracture of the right clavicle to the best clavicle specialist, who happens to be in Spokane, Washington. The thyroid physician is in Austin, Texas. And before the patient sits up on the table from the image that was taken, we have diagnoses coming from two different specialists, nationally separated by thousands of miles from where the patient was being x-rayed. And we have a much better practice of care. We have better medical outcomes and better results. So it's not just on the financial side and financial services, insurance, banking, and on the what I call back office ops side. It's also on the business execution side, and in medical care, creates a whole new practice of medicine that is of great interest to the World Health Organization and the global economic community. Many of you may know I spoke at Davos 2020 last year, the 50th anniversary of the Global Economic Forum, on exactly this topic, the implication that we can practice medicine globally, virtually, and be able to treat patients. We have a brand new Ebola outbreak in the Congo. How wonderful it would be to be able to analyze and treat those patients from physicians that are safe, that are specialists in that field, but that are safe in Cleveland, Ohio, because if we expose them to the disease in order to provide treatment, we risk losing the healthcare professionals that we need to deliver the service. So it's an amazing application. The technology is just exploding. It's the perfect question, Jose, but the technology and the number of applications are exploding as we speak. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, that was my fault. I had my microphone muted. Doesn't it feel good when someone else is messing it up?
Again, I thought, oh my God, my computer is so train wrecked.
That was me. I didn't have my microphone turned on. So, first of all, great insights. On that example is fantastic, and that's the privilege that we have to have you here with us, because you have operated and led at the highest level of implementation globally for these things. Now, The cool thing about you is that you can also operate very tactically, and some of the questions are quite tactical, and I want to bring you there. And people are asking, my goodness, this is amazing. We were talking about changes at a global level, and that's fantastic. But how do I get my organization to start implementing RPA? A small organization, budget constraints. What do you think is a good way? Well, first of all, I guess I should not take it for granted. Part one of the question is that should every organization give it a shot and look at intelligent automation and RPA, or this is only reserved for the well-to-do ones? And the second portion is that if the answer to the first question is yes, how do I approach it with limited resources in this day and age? What kind of mistakes I should avoid, and what is the right way of building to scale?
Great question. The scalability one is one that is impacting everyone right now. In the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, large corporations are trying to restrain investment in technology and hold back. And what we need to do is be able to make a business case, a credible business case for senior executives that this technology is going to deliver enormous value, both in terms of operational efficiency, in the case of patient care, efficacy and quality of care and medical outcomes, and in the case of financial services, we really do want to make more money. At the end of the day, we want the organization to be financially more competitive. And so we build a business case, a very simple business case, and what I advocate is just getting into partnership with other people like myself. I'm happy to link in with anyone that wants to link in with me. I give away my tools and methods, joyfully give them away, because I think it's important for us to work together at a time like this. And we can work to identify specialists in the field that can build your business case in record short time and be able to make a credible case for the application of the technology. And we'll find those applications that are most reusable and portable. The value of doing process engineering before we do the automation design is that we have true process portability. And in the case of BNY Mellon, the first 20 bots that demonstrated efficiency and zero defect processing scaled to become, as we speak today, 300 bots. So it's a pretty amazing process. We just encourage people to feel free to bring forward their questions, concepts, needs, and issues. And I'm happy to link them with people like yourself, Jose, myself, other team members that are highly skilled in this that can create an answer quickly for very small cost and be able to demonstrate the value of the technique and the technology.
Donald, as you look at the companies who have done it well, and you have been on some that have done very well, I am sure you have witnessed some that did not approach it probably correctly. You talk about the importance of understanding the business processes before trying to automating them. It sounds like common sense, which is the least common of the senses in large organizations. We know that.
You're
so beyond having that deep understanding of your business processes and then removing complexity and reducing non-value added activities before you jump into automating those things, are there any other nuggets of wisdom there about how people get started on the right foot on this digital transformation?
Absolutely. The processes that seem to automate most easily are the ones that are high repetition, high value, but low interest for human beings. People are more than happy to give up those tasks that are really mindless, quite honestly, high repetition tasks. Human beings are not very effective there. We're about 85% effective. So even our best operators aren't going to be highly skilled no matter how trained. We're going to see a wide variance in results. So we look for processes where there's a demand for high precision, but high repetition that makes the job tedious for a human being. And the bots don't care. They don't go on vacation. They don't organize. They don't ask to go back to school on sabbatical. I've never seen an email from any of my bots, although they have many human characteristics. They never send me emails asking for time off for good behavior, vacations. So we can take those high repetition tasks and apply the human staff, the human workers to much more relevant work, much more meaningful and relevant work, where the variation would be difficult to automate. The variance in the process would make those processes difficult to automate. So those are processes that are perfect for human beings because they're highly interactive. They look at each moment, each transaction as a completely separate event, where the bots are really looking for consistency in execution, even formatting as much as possible to make it easy to execute these high repetition tasks. So there's a way to find processes that are really convenient for automation and add enormous value to the enterprise. I can give you one more interesting example. In the case of the medical systems, the medical health provider, in order to allow physicians to practice medicine in 50 states and Puerto Rico, physicians have to be licensed in every single state in which they practice medicine. The cost is usually prohibitive and the amount of time is prohibitive because the manual process takes about 90 days to gather all the information, fill out the forms, submit the forms, have the state reject the package because there's almost always something that's unique about one state or another application process and their demands. So we update the content, send the package back, and then we get approval. By aggregating the demands for all 50 states, and integrating them into one platform, into one content structure, we use digitized digital workers to gather the information, to capture all of the content, fill the forms, send them to the states, and we went from more than 90 days of execution time for one doctor in one state to less than 9 days for doctors in all 50 states. And the implication of that is staggering because, as you may know, when physicians move from location to location, and we have a fairly mass migration, there's a large migration of people leaving California, as you may know now, California, Illinois, and New York. There's a great exodus. As people leave those states, it creates a vacuum and a demand for replacement physicians. In order to replace those doctors, because the licensing and credentialing time takes 90 days, even if we find a doctor right now, someone resigns and moves, goes to a different practice, whatever, they retire, even if we have a physician in hand ready to launch, unless they were practicing medicine in region and licensed and credentialed, they can't touch a patient until they go through this licensing and credentialing cycle. So by being able to license and credential physicians in 9 days, we reduce what is called a locum spend. In those cases where physicians leave and you have a backfill of patient care, a schedule with patients that are ready to be treated, we rent a doctor called locum tenens. And in locum spend, it's about a 3-to-1 cost differential between a permanent physician and a rent-a-doc. And so the cost is staggering to the enterprise. By going to this method, zero defect, digitized worker-based licensing and credentialing, we dramatically reduced operating overhead by over $100 million a year in reduced locum spend. And our patients got better care because the doctor that's going to treat you and see you for follow-up is the same doctor that's going to be your doctor permanently from now on. Otherwise, we give you a rental doctor, a locum physician, a local physician that's available to treat. And by the time the permanent physician comes on staff, this poor patient has seen multiple different physicians. So there are economic benefits, there are healthcare and provision of care benefits, quality of care benefits, and better outcomes for the patients. And here's another excellent example where the process was so demanding and so tedious that no one, frankly, ever got very good at it. And the digital workforce has now processed over 750 physicians with zero defects and not a single reject.
Wow.
So so the impact is profound in terms of the practice of medicine and our ability to deliver service. It's just amazing.
That's great, Donald. What a great example. Unfortunately, we are over our time here, but I'm going to ask you, based on the audience request, I was wondering if you would be able to share a copy of your presentation, even a summary of some sort, so that we can send to the audience afterwards, so they can see a summarized version of your presentation. That would be terrific. Lots of questions and comments on thank you for displaying the values of resilience and coming back. And I think this is a great example of, I had plans, but life happened, and the ability for us in this new environment to be tolerant of failure, to learn from what's going on, to adapt, and to continue to make progress. And you are just such a great example as a leader for all of us in doing that and staying there and concluding this presentation despite all the challenges. So thank you so much for your leadership, for your kindness, and it's, for me, it's always a pleasure to learn with you.
Honored to be here with you, Jose. Thank you so much, and thank the audience as well. Thank all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Donald Cook, global leader of excellence, of innovation, of transformations, and certainly RPA and intelligent automation. So thank you for everyone who stayed with us through the technical difficulties that he had, but also with the, we still continue to engage on the conversation and learning directly from him. Our next guest and final guest will happen at the top of the hour. We're going to be welcoming directly from Germany to the world the leader on automation for Bosch, and very much looking forward to his presentation, Patrick Spreitzer, and very practical view of automation in a business that is using and growing automation quite extensively, and with a customer-centric model. So you do not want to miss that. I will see you all at the top of the hour. Again, for those of you who have comments and want to learn more, just look under my name, Jose Pires, on LinkedIn. You can follow us there. You can look at the posts that we have for this conference. Make any comments or questions you have there. We have several of the speakers going to that page and answering questions or making comments related to the experiences we have here. So we build a stronger community by connecting great people and great ideas, and this is what these conferences are all about. So see you back at the top of the hour. Thank you.